Hey everybody, Coach Toolshed here, and today we're going to be discussing some general game industry news that happened over this last week, and I'm going to let you guys watch me be terrible at Tetris while we do so. So let's just jump right into it. So both of the big platform holders, Sony and Microsoft, both had some pretty big stuff coming out of their camps this week. So let's just jump right into Sony for starters. So they announced that they are not going to be going to E3 this year. Now, many of you have probably already heard about this, but I want to open this up to discussion with you guys down in the comments because there's a lot of speculation going around. But the main speculation is revolving around the launch date for the PS5. Now, I did a video a couple months back about the launch date of the PS5 when we heard that Sony was canceling PSX this year, and I had made a video saying that to me this sort of signals this was going to be no PS5 coming in 2019. I thought it was going to be coming in 2020, but now some people are speculating that this means that Sony is going to have a big press event next year and announce the PS5 and probably a new slew of games to go with the launch title. Now, whether or not that's going to be a launch date for 2019 for the PS5 or whether that means it's going to be 2020, that's where people seem to be split. I still think that it's going to be a 2020 release date. However, with this latest news, this definitely opens the door up for them to possibly have a launch window in 2019. They could definitely have their own big event and announce that and sort of get the preemptive jump on Microsoft if, in fact, Microsoft was planning on having a 2020 launch for their next console, but we're going to get to them in just a second. But still, I want to know what you guys think about this situation with Sony. Now, obviously, this year they sort of took a weird step back. They didn't show too many games. They only showed games that we already knew about. They gave what they called a deeper dive into several of their titles, including Last of Us and Death Stranding and stuff like that. So we got a good look at those games. But next year, as we know, there's really not any surprises. Well, at least we don't know. At least we're not aware of any surprises coming down the pike. There's rumors that there might be another Sony exclusive that has not yet been announced yet, but we don't really know. But it stands to reason that they really don't have too much else to show for this generation, but would that alone be enough to make them cancel E3, just saying, hey, we don't have anything new to show, there's no point of us showing up? Or is this in fact them opening the door, paving the way for their own big show where they're going to announce the PS5. Now, my main concern with this is the launch date, obviously. Is it going to be 2019? Is it going to be 2020? We don't really know. I want to know what you guys think. I'm still leaning towards 2020 because PS4 is still selling a ton of units this year, bolstered by God of War and Spider-Man. It sold a ton more units, and of course they're going to want to crack that 100 million mark. That's a nice little feather to put in your cap. So I certainly think that they have another year or two with the PS4. I think 2 years. I might be wrong. It could be next year. They surprised me last time. I thought that this console generation that we're currently in was going to start in 2014, but Sony jumped the gun and announced the event a little bit early. And honestly, I think that is why Microsoft seemed so caught off guard with their own announcement. I think that's why their messaging wasn't on point. They really were sort of scrambling. I don't think Microsoft was ready for Sony to announce the start of the next generation. Now, that's just rampant speculation on my part. But actually, this entire video is pretty much rampant speculation because I have no insider knowledge, and neither do you, but I just want to open it up to discussion. So let's move on to the next topic, which is Microsoft. So a couple things I actually want to discuss. First off, we had the EXO 2018 event, which was last weekend, and I was going to do a video on it, but honestly, there wasn't too much big news coming out of it, except for the fact that Microsoft has purchased Obsidian and In Exile. Now, both those companies are well known for their RPGs, mainly computer RPGs. You get games like Wasteland and Pillars of Eternity. Of course, Obsidian also worked on Fallout New Vegas, and the first South Park game that we had a couple years ago, that was also Obsidian that developed that. And obviously Wasteland 3 is coming out from In Exile. That's a game that I know a lot of people down in the comments are excited for. I know a lot of my subscribers have been looking forward to that game. And in general, I don't really know how I feel about this because I don't know if there's that huge market on Xbox for those companies. But of course, Microsoft is also opening the door to they want more and more PC gaming going on, basically. So this does, I think, work into their overall strategy. I don't know if it benefits Xbox necessarily, but Microsoft in general, yeah, it's probably a pretty good move. Although, from everything I've heard, Pillars of Eternity isn't necessarily a great seller, so Obsidian kind of has a couple swings and a misses there with their last two Pillars of Eternity games. They're not really moving great, and I know the second game did not sell as well as the first game at all. So a little bit interesting there, and I'm not really sure that Wasteland is necessarily a household name either, so I don't know if they're... obviously, these studios have a pretty good pedigree going back. Obsidian especially has a very long history, but in the current state of them, I'm not really sure. I think they still have a lot of talent there. They can still make some good games. And with Microsoft's help, that probably is helping keep the companies afloat. They can put more money into their games. So it's probably good for the companies overall, as long as they can actually release games that customers will buy, because we don't want to see Microsoft shutting any studios down. That's the one thing I worry about with this. And it is kind of sad for people who aren't on Xbox or PC. If they're on PS4, they're not going to have access to these games anymore, so that's kind of going to be, yeah, that's not ideal. Although I have heard that Wasteland 3, they are still planning on having that release on all platforms, so that's good. I'm not sure if that's confirmed or not, but that's the rumor that I've heard. So just some more speculation on that, and one more thing I also want to get to, and that is going to be the rumor of Xbox coming out with a diskless drive Xbox One that's supposed to be launching next year. Now, I actually think this is a pretty smart move, because as more and more people head towards digital only, you're not really going to need that disk drive. And if they're not going to be... I know some people use their consoles as a 4K Blu-ray player or stuff like that. I personally don't play movies like that. I just stream whatever I'm doing, so I don't buy movie discs anymore. I used to back in the day. I haven't bought a disc in a very, very long time, so that doesn't affect me. And I think there's also a pretty big market at this point. We know the digital market is getting bigger and bigger every year, so there's more and more people that are just going entirely discless. When it comes to games, I almost never buy discs anymore. Most of my games are digital-only downloads, so if they came out with a piece of hardware that had the same specs as the Xbox One X, say, and it just didn't have a disk drive and it was $100 cheaper, I would probably lean towards buying that product, I'll be honest. This is actually a pretty smart move. Now, as we heard more and more about Xbox doing a streaming-only box, I don't know about that. I'd be more interested, as long as I can download the game onto the hard drive on the system, I'm okay with that. I don't think streaming's where it needs to be just yet. I hope that it won't be just a streaming only box. I hope you would still be able to download your games onto the box, and it would just be a typical Xbox One without the disc drive. I hope that's what it would be, and I think that would be a pretty good move. But what do you guys think about that? That's just the current news that's going on with Xbox and PlayStation, and I wanted to get into a further speculation about Microsoft in a separate video. It's going to be a little bit more in depth. I'm probably going to do that in the next month or so. But anyway, I just want to get this video out, hit on a couple different topics here. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. This video is really just a lot of speculation about some of this news. I don't really have too much to go on. Obviously, it's just a lot of rumors, but I want to know what you guys think about the current situation with both of these platform holders. I think some interesting stuff going on from both of them. But anyway, I'm Coach Toolshed. Let me know what you guys think, as always, down in the comments below. Please subscribe if you want to stay in tune with the channel headed forward, and as always, keep it turned to 11.